Today we're going to make chocolate chip peanut butter cookies. These cookies are actually surprisingly delicious and have a secret ingredient that many people would not guess is in there. Instead of flour, they actually contain chickpeas or garbanzo beans. And this gives this cookie a lot of extra protein. And I still think it tastes delicious. You can't tell there's chickpeas in it at all. So it's a really great recipe to have on hand. So in here I have a 15-ounce can of chickpeas that has been strained. I have honey, natural peanut butter. Natural peanut butter is really important to this process. First of all, it doesn't have any of the shortening or sugar in it, which makes this a much healthier version of peanut butter. But also, natural peanut butter is a lot thicker, and so it really gives the cookie dough that consistency that helps it stay in good shape. And then I have baking powder, vanilla, and of course chocolate chips. So the first thing I'm going to do is this step in the process isn't mandatory, but I think it really adds to the texture of the cookie. When you have canned chickpeas or garbanzo beans, they have a sort of coating on the outside. So what I like to do is just kind of remove the coating from the chickpea. It's like you probably can't really tell in this, but it's kind of clear off-white coating. It should come off really easy. I think if you don't, it's not a big deal if you don't remove it, but I think the cookies come out a lot smoother and don't have as many chunks in it if you remove them. So it's completely up to you, but I think it just makes the consistency a lot better. So I'll just start by removing the coating. And you don't have to remove the coating from every single one either. I just like to remove it from the majority just to create a nice even base. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bowl of chickpeas and I'm just going to place it into the food processor here. So get the last few of these. This helps if you have lots of little kids who are willing to do the manual labor for you. It helps to speed up the process. Okay, so that looks good. I will just dump this right into the food processor. Okay, and then to this, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of honey. And this is the sweetener of this recipe. So there's no added sugar, it's all natural, which is nice. So we have a 1/4 cup here. Almost there. And you can, if you like your cookies sweeter, you can always add more as well. I think a 1/4 cup's a good amount though. Ooh, yeah, overflowed a little bit. That's okay. So let's use this and make sure the honey really sticks to the measuring cup. So just make sure to use a spatula or a spoon of some sort and just make sure all of the honey is out of the measuring cup. Okay, so that looks good. Let's leave that in there. And now I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. This gives it also really nice flavor. Okay. And then I'm also going to add a tablespoon of baking powder, which seems like a lot, but since there's no leavening agent in this recipe, there's no eggs or flour or anything, it really helps. And you can't taste it all either. I know I've read like some places where people are concerned that too much baking powder or soda you can taste it, but in this recipe you can't taste it at all. Okay, so there's my tablespoon. And now I'm just going to pulse all of this together into the food processor until it becomes a creamy, smooth consistency. You need to stop the food processor periodically and just scrape down the sides just to make sure everything's incorporated, because you don't want any large chunks of chickpeas sticking out everywhere. Okay, I'll pulse it for a few more seconds. Okay, this looks just perfect. As you can see, it's created a nice, smooth consistency right on the ends, right in there. And there is a little bit of honey stuck to the bottom, so just make sure when you're scraping it into this bowl that you get all the honey out from the bottom. So now I'll just put this mixture right into this bowl. And if you have a really strong food processor, you can also add the peanut butter at the same time. But my food processor is relatively old, so the first time I made this recipe, when I added all the ingredients to the food processor overheated and almost broke because the mixture was so thick. So I started doing it this way. Let's scrape that back on. There. So I'll just scrape all of this right into this big bowl that I have here. This recipe also, if you like eating cookie dough, but you don't like eating the raw eggs, this can also be a great substitute for that. I think it tastes pretty good raw, and I know many people are worried about eating uncooked eggs, so this is a great alternative for that as well. Scrape the last bit out of here. Okay, that looks great. And so now I'm going to add in half cup of natural peanut butter, smooth natural peanut butter. And a lot of time with natural peanut butter, some of the oil will settle on the top. So using a knife or a spoon, just kind of stir it up, just make sure everything's well mixed. Okay, so I'll just spoon this right in here. As you can see, it's really thick, but it adds a great peanut flavor to it. Just use all the rest of the peanut butter in there. You can never have too much peanut butter, so you can add more if you like. I'm going to finish out this jar. Okay. And then I'll just add this right into the bowl. Okay. And so now I'm just going to stir this and try and incorporate all the peanut butter with the chickpea mixture. And we can tell when it's done because it starts getting really thick once all the peanut butter has been incorporated into it. Let's see, try to get this last bit of peanut butter stirred in. You want all the peanut butter evenly mixed throughout because you don't want a bite that doesn't really have any taste to it. Okay, that looks good. And now, my favorite part, adding in the chocolate chips. So these are just some semi-sweet chocolate chips. I think semi-sweet are the best. They add really great flavor. And I just usually guess to me, err on the side of more chocolate chips. My rule. So I'll just put some in until it seems like a good amount is in there. And then I'll just stir this all together. Make sure chocolate chips are evenly mixed throughout. See, as you can see now, it's already forming a really thick mixture, and it looks like cookie dough. It smells really peanut buttery, and it tastes good because I've had it in this form before too. So this looks just about perfect, and now I will start forming it into balls on this cookie sheet I have here, lined with parchment paper. So I just have one of these small cookie scoops. You can really make the cookies any size you want, using like a spoon or whatever utensil you have. So I'll just take a scoop of this, make sure I have a good amount of chocolate chips in each cookie, and I'll just start rolling them out. And the one thing about this recipe is though that these cookies really don't spread out much. So what I like to do after I scoop them, I just kind of like to pat them down, form them into nice circular shapes. And yeah, because one thing, even when you take them out of the oven, they'll probably be around basically the same size. So that way too, you don't really have to worry about them spreading out or putting them too close together on the cookie sheet, because they'll all basically stay relatively the same size. So I'll just start scooping these out, and after I scoop them out, I'll just pat them all down really quick. And one batch of these, it really depends on how big you make your scoops. One batch for me usually makes around 15 to 20. So it's a good recipe to have in hand for crowds or parties. And it's also great just because of all the extra protein from the chickpeas. Great for kids who you don't think are getting enough protein. They won't know what's in it, so you can secretly give them a healthy cookie and they'll never know. The one thing I do recommend about this recipe though is they definitely taste better warm. I love my cookies warm anyway, but for these, right when they come out of the oven, they're really soft and the chocolate chips are still melty, so they just taste really delicious. So I recommend, if you're storing them for later use, before you eat them, just put them in the microwave for 10 to 15 seconds, and I think they just taste 10 times better after that. So just one last scoop here, a little big one. Add this to one of these. Alright, and now I'll just go around and just kind of shape them and flatten them out a little bit. Okay, last one. So, okay, those look perfect. So now I'm just going to stick these into an oven that's been preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And they'll bake for about around like 11 to 15 minutes, depends on how your oven gets. Sometimes, since these cookies are really soft, it can be kind of hard to tell when they're done. So what I look for is if the edges are starting to turn a golden brown color. That's when I usually know that they're okay. So yeah, we'll look at these in about 11 to 15 minutes. So it's been 11 minutes. The cookies look great. I think they're perfectly done. The edges are nice and starting to turn a nice golden brown, so I'll take them out. So as you can see, they did not spread out much, like I said, but they still taste really good. So now I'm just going to let these cool, and then I'll later place them on a cooling rack to let them fully cool. But like I said before, these definitely taste better warm. So before you eat one, just pop it in the microwave and it'll taste 10 times better. And so yeah, this is the peanut butter chocolate chip cookie. It has a ton more protein from the peanut butter and from the chickpeas. The sugar is all natural, and it's just a really great cookie alternative to have. It's secretly healthy, but no one will realize it. Kids love it. I use it in all my cooking classes, and every single one, probably at least 3 or 4. They're a big hit out of all my recipes. So yeah, definitely give this recipe a try and let me know what you think.